He's spunky, he's smart, he's got amazing problem-solving skills, and he's just defying every odd that they said that he probably wouldn't be doing.
For Wayne and Jessica Pollard, their pregnancy with their son Brodie was typical, nothing out of the ordinary.
It all started off fantastic. I was progressing.
Until it wasn't.
Then it came time to pushing, and that's when it went very bad.
Jessica said everything changed in an instant.
I was able to successfully deliver him up to his ears, and then at that time he did a 360 flip.
She was rushed into an emergency C-section and felt everything.
I was awake until they got almost to the last layer of skin, and he was very blue, like he was gone.
Brodie was born at Unity Point Health St. Luke's in Sioux City, but they didn't have the equipment needed to care for him. He and his dad, Wayne, were rushed to the Children's Hospital in Omaha.
It was up at Omaha where they realized that there was something wrong with his arm.
Brodie spent a month in the NICU in Omaha. He had been clinically dead for 10 minutes, and doctors told his parents they didn't know what his future held.
And I just said, watch. Like, he'll show us what he can do.
Because of the trauma of his birth, Brodie's head was swollen. He also didn't have movement in his right arm. After doctors in Omaha discharged him, Pollards took him to a specialist at the Mayo Clinic. There, they got the true scope of Brodie's injury.
And it was shown that his nerves were all completely pulled from the spinal column on that side. And the final diagnosis was brachial plexus with Erb's palsy, and he's got, which was proven, cerebral palsy, which is all very common with brachial plexus.
At 2 years old now, Brodie is a typical toddler. He has limited movement in his arm, but that doesn't slow him down.
From sun up to sundown. He has got energy and he's a go, go, go. We call it his special fin, but he adapts to like everything.
And on a Monday morning in April, Brodie is as happy as he can be.
I just think we're beyond blessed. It just amazes us every day.
In Sioux City, Katie Koppel, KTIV News 4.